What does the CBDC, the social credit score, and crypto have in common? Well, they're all being merged as we speak. Today, I'm going to break down some updates, what no one else is telling you about the CBDC, what's actually happening with FedNow in July, what you can look for, new legislation about CBDCs across the planet from Canada to Europe to the US to Asia, etc. Also, what to keep an eye out for on the social credit score. These things are very important and they're things you need to know moving forward. Today in operation, the future looks like it's going to be under a microscope. This sucks. Okay, so we're going to start with CBDCs because CBDCs are very, very important and they're happening on a regular basis. And by important, I mean they should never happen, but unfortunately they are, so you need to know exactly what to look for. Now, FedNow is launching in July. That is not the CBDC that a lot of people are fear-mongering on other social media platforms. That is an internal payment processor / settler. It's not going to really affect anything in your life whatsoever. So the FedNow, not a big issue, except for the fact that they are going to be using it for a test in some areas of the financial system. So it is something that we're going to want to look further into down the line. But it's not going to affect you in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't change the law for you. It doesn't change the way your money is spent. It doesn't outlaw cash. But there are a lot of businesses like this one and this one that are starting to go cashless and even reverse cash. Meaning if you have cash, you use your cash to get a prepaid debit card to spin the debit card. That is insane, but that's the way that some of these companies are going. That way they can track. And they're not the prepaid debit cards like I talk about on my Ghost program. They're prepaid debit cards with all of your information so they can track what you're purchasing, where you're purchasing, how you're purchasing, how much you're purchasing. So, you can pay your future carbon tax. Anyway, what I want to talk about is I really want to break these things down. But before I do, I want to let you guys know the next month in June, I am launching a 50 video series exclusively for Ghost program members, meaning it will not be for sale. Now, originally this was going to be a course that I put out, and I could charge a lot of money putting this course out, but I decided I didn't want to. I wanted to add more money to people in the Ghost program. So if you're already in the Ghost program, you're set. You're going to get this for free, and it is the most in-depth content about not only how to become a ghost, but also what's going on in the world and how to protect yourself from CBDCs, from social credit scores, basically from everything that's coming over the next year to several years. And I go in depth, not just in the US, but for Canadians, for Europeans, for Asians, for even people in Africa or Australia. It covers the entire planet. Super, super in-depth. There's literally nothing else like it on the internet, and it's for people in the Ghost program. Now, you have this week only to sign up for the Ghost program if you haven't already, and you're going to get this in June for free as part of the Ghost program because I want to add the most value possible to the amazing members in the Ghost program. So that's why I'm doing it this way. Instead of putting it out there for $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever, which I could sell tens of thousands of them, I'm just going to give it to the people in the Ghost program, and this will never be for sale. For those of you who sign up for the Ghost program or you're already signed up, you have 1 week and then that's it. Then in the future, it won't be added as part of the Ghost program. So if you haven't already, check this out right here. Go to privacyx.io, go to the Ghost program. It's the first link down below. And you guys are going to get this next month in June as we roll this out for free as part of the Ghost program. It is the most in-depth video training on this subject. I cover all of the topics, not only how to become a ghost, but also how to completely mitigate everything that's going on. Because when this goes into place, you're not going to be able to trade crypto without having a ghost business unless it's under $1,000. You're not going to be able to partake in society without being tracked. You're not going to be able to buy many, many things without being shut down because they're going to be able to turn your money on or off. CBDCs are coming no matter what, and they're making it so only institutional and investors can partake in crypto and other digital assets. And it's not about controlling the assets, it's about controlling the citizens. Do you want to commit a felony or do you just want to structure everything through a business? The choice is ultimately yours. I would choose the business route. That's why I created ghost businesses for myself and literally thousands of other people around the world. So you can check this out on Privacy X right now because this stuff is coming really, really quick. The good news is, if you're an American or you're anywhere around the world, there are some steps that have to go into place. And I'm going to break those down for you right now. So the first thing you have to keep in mind is there's legislation that has to pass. Now, here in the United States, you've seen everything with the debt ceiling debacle. Okay, putting that aside, moving to the September legislative calendar, there's going to be a bill on the docket saying that you can't trade crypto more than $1,000 unless you have an institutional account. It's also going to state it's going to sue many crypto properties. We talked about how Bitcoin and Monero, in essence, are commodities. Bitcoin for sure. The SEC's even admitted it. Monero is a privacy asset. Well, it's really a privacy asset, but it's also a hedge against these totalitarian laws. But I've said many times that Bitcoin, Monero, gold, and silver are the 4 best assets right now. Having some cash to be liquid, because as the recession picks up steam, you'll be able to buy a lot of assets for nickels on the dollar. But that's kind of a separate thing depending upon your financial situation. Keep an eye out for that. The good thing is that's not going to start until next year. So it's going to pass. I have no doubt it's going to pass. I've talked to a lot of people in the Republican and the Democratic side. They're pushing this crypto stuff through. They're tired of being on the fence of crypto. So the United States will push it through on the legislative side. I've already got confirmations on both sides, Democrat and Republican. Now, that being said, it won't go into effect until January. So if you're getting the Ghost program now, you have tons of time to go through everything. Don't worry. It's a process, and you'll be set. But if you don't have a Ghost business, then next year you'll be out of crypto or you'll be committing a felony. The next thing is the CBDC and how it's going to start tracking you. This is very important because they're looking at implementing a carbon tax based on what you purchase, what you buy, where you buy it from, how you buy it, et cetera, et cetera. Also, you've seen what damage are you doing to the environment by buying a specific thing? Like, is this card made out of paper? Did that paper come from trees? Or did we kill insects to get this paper? Right? So it's ridiculous, but they're basically going to backtrack everything. You do not want to be a part of that system. The other thing is with the social credit score. You need to realize that here in the United States, what they're waiting for on the social credit score is to federalize the credit system. They're actually going to get rid of the 3 big credit bureaus. Now, I've seen news articles about this, and people get so excited. Yeah, I can't wait. They're getting rid of the credit bureaus. Don't get too excited, because when it's federal, they can federalize it. Then they can restructure it. It's not going to be about your phone bill. It's not going to be about your credit card. Yeah, sure, those will be on there, along with about 600 other things, not the least of which everything you purchase, everything you do, everywhere you go, everyone you talk to. It's going to create a whole database around you. This is why in the Ghost program, in one of the phases, I talk about data extraction, because it's very important you get your information out before Web 3 comes in full effect. Web 3 won't be in full effect till probably late 2024, early 2025. The least of our concerns right now is Web 3, frankly, because you got to have the crypto regulation to move things forward. Now, when the crypto regulation happens, I've already predicted that I think it's going to take crypto to a $70 trillion market. I've debated this with multiple people. I've also talked about the numbers with a lot of people, and people are starting to get closer to my number. Now, I've heard numbers of 100 plus trillion. I've heard numbers of 20 trillion. I personally believe it's going to be in the 70 trillion range, meaning if you're in crypto at this time, you're going to go through the roof. But keep in mind, you have to have a Ghost business. You have to be structured first, or you have to have an institutional account, or you can't partake, because they're going to pass. They have to pass the regulation first. You can't put the cart before the horse. So if you don't have an institutional account at that time, it's going to make it very tough, if not impossible, to get one. And then you won't be able to cash out your crypto. You will have zero off-ramps. You'll have all this crypto. You could have billions of dollars. You could have millions of dollars that you can't cash out because it's in your name. And at that point, you just committed a crime. See what I'm saying? So they are putting everyone's back up against the wall. That's why I created this video course. That's why I created the Ghost program, to help you guys mitigate this stuff, because it is insane what is happening right now, and people are getting backed up across the board. So those are 2 things you want to look for. You want to look for the federalization. You also want to look for the Crypto Regulation Act. Now, there are 9 crypto regulation acts in the House and the Senate here in the United States. Every major country is following exactly what the United States is going to do, because they've realized that if they go before the U.S., like we saw in 2020, it all falls apart, and then they look for the U.S. for help, and the U.S. is basically like, nah, bro, we have a constitution. We're doing things our way like we did. And then we came full circle, and now a lot of these countries are still dealing with the fallout from the BS because they weren't able to go far enough. And while the U.S. had an embarrassingly weak show in the beginning, like the fact that we even shut down or did any of that was a joke, but we finished extremely strong for the most part. And a lot of other countries couldn't because they don't have the Constitution to go full circle and fall back on. That said, they're going to do the regulation first and then come full circle and move these things forward. So you need to understand that as we put these pieces together over the next couple of months. So September is going to be the first big one. Nothing's going to be blocked until the beginning of the year. That's how they start these legislative processes. So even if it went into act tomorrow, they legally have to give the citizens what's called a reasonable grace period for the transition. So people are like, they're going to do the CBDCs overnight. They can't. They legally can't. They'll tell you they can't, and they won't. The Supreme Court wouldn't allow it. Nobody will allow it. So this is never, I know there's a lot of fear-mongering, like, you're going to wake up and there's going to be CBDCs and your cash is going to be worthless. That's never going to happen. What's going to happen is they're going to ramrod this through Congress. It's going to be a battle like you've never seen. It's probably going to take a month or two, back and forth, negotiations. They're all going to have a bunch of angles, and they're all going to throw in a bunch of stuff, and they're going to fight about it back and forth. And then eventually it's going to pass, and they're going to sell it to the American people and the world as a good thing because we're protecting you, and we're saving you, and we're keeping you safe, and we're going to take a lot of your rights and your freedoms and all those things, but we're keeping you safe so you can be snuggly and warm at night in your little blankie because you are safe. Yeah, sure, you can't trade crypto or it's a felony. And yeah, sure, we're going to track everything you do. And yeah, sure, we could turn on and off your money whenever we want. And yeah, sure, we could basically decide what you do, when you do, how you do it, where you do it. But you're safe, right? And it's worth it because you're safe. And meanwhile, zero businesses, zero corporations, zero celebrities, zero politicians are going to deal with this. People like me aren't going to deal with this. Why? Because we've structured ourselves as a business and all the carve-outs. Did you see the debt ceiling, the bill they put together? It's all carved out for businesses. I've been telling you guys, businesses are treated better than people, especially in the United States. This is why I teach people how to operate as a business. This is why I teach people how to use the legal laws and loopholes and gray areas to your benefit. Put them together like building blocks, no matter where you are in the world, and then take back your privacy, your freedom, your anonymity, hide your assets legally, and be able to structure everything for you, to benefit you. That way you can own nothing and control everything. And that is what I break down, as opposed to the alternative, which is going to be something out of a nightmare novel. But these are things that you really want to look forward when it comes to this process over the next coming months. So anyway, I wanted to give an update on that because I know I talked about it. I still stand by the fact that I think the crypto market's going to go from where it has been to about 70 trillion. We already know right off the bat there's about 30 trillion in institutional money that's going to pump in almost instantaneously. I'm talking big picture. Keep in mind, this is a worldwide market. Keep in mind how many huge institutions have already said they're getting into Bitcoin and they're getting into all these other digital assets the second they legally can. Right now, what's holding them back is the legalities. They've already got all the businesses structured. You can look at all the reports and all the filing, all the institutional accounts, all the businesses, all the celebrities. I'm working with Hollywood left and right. I have so many clients in Hollywood right now. It's ridiculous because they're all structuring themselves for this digital stuff. So many CEOs, so many crypto companies, so many people in all these countries, from Australia to England, from Germany to France, from Poland to New Zealand, from all through Asia. I mean, literally the entire map of Asia, shy of China. I currently have only had one client in China this year, which is insane. It used to be a lot more. People in Japan, people in the Philippines, people in Brazil, people in Argentina, or all these places, from Costa Rica to Belize, from Florida to Montana, from Texas to California, from New York to Chicago, even worse. But everywhere. Literally everywhere. So anyway, guys, it is time for us to stand together and realize that if we don't take action, nobody's going to come do it for us. And I've told this to so many people. I don't even blame the politicians, because how could you? You're an adult. If you're the amount of people under 18 who watch my video, I'm not cool and hip. And the amount of people who watch my videos under 18 is very, very small. So most likely if you're watching this, you're an adult. You need to take responsibility for yourself. There's no politician coming to save you. They're saving themselves right now. They're reaching out to people like me to help them structure this, and companies like mine. Nobody's coming to save you. You got to save yourself. Own nothing, control everything, structure yourself so you can live a private, secure, and free, anonymous life. Otherwise, you will be a slave to the system, period. It's not if, it's when. And these politicians are given this insane amount of power, and they use their human nature and they abuse it. It's just what people do. It's what they've always done since the beginning. Do I like it? No. Do I agree with it? No. It doesn't matter. I took action. I'm going to be fine. Are you? That's a real question. If not, it's time to take action because your time is running out. But the reality is nobody's coming to save you. No politicians are going to do what you want them to do. They're not going to vote exactly how you want them to. You're not going to get all these handouts or these freebies or these checks. And really what people like me want, I don't want anything from the government other than to get the heck out of my way. They're not going to do that either. They're going to keep using their power to benefit them and them alone. And that's the way it's going to be. So you need to start using your power, your voice, or don't go complaining when it all goes to, you know what, because that's the way it's going regardless. Anyway, appreciate you guys checking out this video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Putting out new content all the time here on Privacy X. Guys, it really is important that you own nothing and control everything. Very, very, very important and something to live by. Have an amazing day, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.